Hi there. Welcome to Bourbon Turntable. We are the show that blends the love of music with the love of whiskey, and we are actually live when I think that we're live. So, yay me. Uh, New year, new me, right, Drew?
Well done, sir. Well done. I
you
love it.
know, we take what we can. So, yeah, so here we're live. We're doing our 2023 year in review show. We will be talking about some of our favorite whiskeys of the year, some of our favorite albums of the year, live shows, favorite pours, and who knows what else we may get into. But before we do all that, we want to tell you about Bar Cart Co-op. Bar Cart Co-op is a collection of friends who produce content for the whiskey enthusiast. We have Distillers Talk with Alan Bishop and Christy Atkinson. Distillers Talk is a show where they will talk with distillers, thus the name. I just got that. So we have Distillers Talk with Christy and with Alan, and they really do. They chat with distillers from all across the country and around the world about anything and everything distillation. It is a lot of fun. It's a really good show. If you want to geek out a little bit on your whiskey, that's a way to do it. And if you want to geek out a little bit more, One Piece at a Time Distilling Institute is another show that Alan has where he will take questions from distillers, from you, from me. I should submit him some questions. But Alan will take questions and then he'll post video responses to those questions. Always very interesting to see what people have to say. Alan also has another show because he has way too much time on his hands called If You Have Ghosts, You Have Everything. That show delves into the spirits beyond the spirits world that we drink. It gets into the paranormal, gets into religion, gets into UFOs. I think he may have done a Bigfoot show with Andy Kasperzak. I'm not sure, but it's always a lot of fun. Really cool stuff. If you want something that's just a little bit more adjacent of whiskey, that's a great show to tune into. My Whiskey Den with Pat and Mike and Mitch is live every Monday night, 9 o'clock Eastern Time. My Whiskey Den is where craft whiskey is king. 2 nights ago, they had their year-end award shows, their craft whiskey award shows, and that was a lot of fun. Great show. So if you missed that, be sure to check it out. And then the newest member of the Bar Cart Co-op is David Levine of Whiskey in My Wedding Ring. He has a podcast. He does a blog. It is really, really good stuff. David's really smart, very clever, and we're happy to have him with us. And then you got our show, Bourbon Turntable. We are on YouTube. If you're watching us on YouTube, you know that right now. So go ahead and hit subscribe button while you're watching. If you don't want to watch us and miss these lovely faces, you can listen to us on your favorite podcast platform, as long as it's Apple, Spotify, or Google. We have a Facebook page where we post all of our shows. We have a Facebook group where we will tell you the things that we're drinking and what we're listening to while we're drinking it. We'll post, little nuggets. Jimmy Page's birthday, 80th birthday was yesterday, and stuff like that. So tune into us. Lots of ways to connect, and we really appreciate it when you do. Share the show, comment on the show, tell us something. You like it, you don't like it. We'd just love to hear from you anyway. So that is kind of the prelude for tonight's show. Drew, you doing well?
Howdy. Yeah, I'm doing really good.
Yeah.
It's been a busy season. I've been out for a couple of weeks, running all over these United States, it seems. I think I've put more miles on my car in the month of December than I did the entire year combined. But it's all good.
Because
Just
you
running over.
drove to West Virginia.
Yep, I
Right.
did West Virginia, back to Kentucky,
Yep.
then Oklahoma City to Kentucky, then Cleveland to Kentucky, and now I'm back.
Cleveland.
Yep. Had to go pick up a friend up there. I did Bloomington, Indiana, in between that as well. So I've listened to a lot of books and seen a lot of these highways
There's
in
a
this
Johnny
wonderful country.
Cash song. I've been everywhere, man. I've been
Yes,
everywhere. And
what it feels like.
you need to do a cover of that. So
I might be able to work that in. How
Yeah.
about you? What have you guys been up to? I know you did a little traveling to Tennessee. You had some family
Yeah.
in town, and
Yeah. A little different Christmas this year with, we've got one son that's been married off for several years now and
Mhm.
has two kids of his own. And our younger son he got engaged almost 2 months ago, and he's getting married, I think, the week before you are.
yes, yes. Hey, he picked a good date because that's right in between Derby and PGA Tour. He screwed up and picked the weekend of the PGA Tour, so there's no hotels or Airbnbs anywhere in town. So he's a smarter man than I. That's exciting. I love Sam and Maddie seems absolutely lovely from everything that I can tell. So excited for you guys.
Yeah.
Congratulations on that.
Thank you. Thank you. They're a good fit. They really are. But let's talk about some whiskey stuff first,
Yeah.
and we're going to start out. We'll go over our whiskey of the year official nominees, in just a few minutes. But we want to talk a little bit about some that were honorable mentions for 2023, because quite honestly, it was really tough to pare the list down
Hmm.
because there's so many great things about so many different distilleries and distillers and the stuff that they're putting into bottles. So, Drew, you have any honorable mentions to mention?
Yeah, for sure. So this was the tough one for me because narrowing down the list to our 5, 6 nominees was tough on its own.
Hmm.
But one of the things you and I talk about all the time is whiskey is a sensory thing. Obviously, you like what you like, but sometimes the perfect memory with the exact right people,
Hmm.
oftentimes at the right show,
Right.
uh, adds some weight to that. So my honorable mentions are going to be single barrels and just some things that we've poured together over the years. So
Yep.
um, there was a 23-year-old Armagnac
Hmm.
that our friend Mark Krebs brought, I think, in March to our bourbon club. That was quite lovely. It might have been in April as well.
Yep.
So that one was up there. Then the Golden Beaver,
Yep.
um, the straight bourbon that they released this year was up there for me as well. And then you're gonna have to help me out, but there was a um, uh, I'm just blanking. What's the one right outside of Nashville?
Leaper's
Um,
Fork.
Lever's Fork.
Yep.
Yes, they had a single barrel that I tried when I was up there doing some recording in Nashville
Yeah.
around June this year. That was absolutely outstanding. So I've got my official nominees, but those three in particular were standouts that just
Yep.
were quite enjoyable because of the company, because of the events.
Yep.
Um, so yeah, those
Yep.
those would be my honorable mentions.
Okay. Those
How
are
about you?
those are very good honorable mentions. One of mine is Bardstown Bourbon Company, their
Mm,
Origin series.
yes.
Uh, I've I've never really gone after Bardstown Bourbon Company stuff when it was, uh, you know, like 5% of their 2-year-old whiskey, and then 95% of, something sourced. It was fine, but that didn't necessarily interest me. But
Hmm.
this Origin series stuff that they're doing is fantastic. That bottled and bond wheated bourbon is stellar,
Yes.
and
Absolutely.
the rye that they've put out is fantastic. So that's stuff that's definitely worth checking out. And
Hmm.
the price point on that bottled and bond wheated bourbon is not bad. It's in the $45-50 range.
Yep.
High quality stuff. I think it's actually 6 years old,
Hmm.
but it's very very good. So highly
Indeed.
recommend it. Whiskey Delbach is another for me. It's brand that I got kind of got into last year. I've been able to try a few more of their things this year. I was out in Tucson or the Phoenix area, went down to Tucson to visit their distillery and got to talk with Mark, and he was great, and try some of their other stuff. Really, really good distillery. They make great whiskey. Focuses on American single malt, so it's great. MB Rowan is another that dark fired bourbon, especially.
Yeah,
That's special. And
good stuff.
uh, I, I've always said that you don't, if you start the night on that, you're going to end the night on that because you really can't
Hmm.
get into anything else. But uh, that is great. And there was a single barrel of their corn whiskey at Westport Whiskey and
Mm.
Wine that was stellar. Actually, I think it still may be available. So if you're in the area, grab a bottle before it's gone. And then last but certainly not least is this Maddie Gladden
Hmm.
Iconoclast. Um, at Alan Bishop gave the Iconoclast treatment to Maddie Gladden. He had done one for Lee W. Sinclair, I don't know, a couple years ago. And that was
Hmm.
my whiskey of the year, the first year we had a show. And
Yep.
this one is just delicious as well. So I don't know if they still have any there at the distillery. If they do, and you're by there, grab it because you will not regret it at all. So now you've got something in a glass, right?
I do. I do. I'm doing dry January, so
Mhm.
I've got seltzer water, grenadine, and lime tonight. Nothing too exciting, but
And
still
nugget
want to make
ice
something.
and
And
nugget
nugget
ice.
ice. Yeah, I got
Yes.
a nugget ice maker for Christmas, so gotta
Uh,
have that. Well,
cheers.
cheers, my friend.
It's glorious.
Good stuff. Now,
Yep.
have you gotten a chance to try the new Green River weeded? You mentioned
Yes.
what did you think of that?
I thought it was good. I was very very pleasantly surprised because Green River is, I don't know if that's the butterfly from the cocoon of OZ Tyler, or what happened there,
It's
but
some kind of evolution. Yeah.
the the drastic change from caterpillar to butterfly pales in comparison from the change in the whiskey from OZ Tyler to Green River.
Hmm.
So I don't know what they did, but I'm glad they did it because it's much, much, much better. And I know that OZ Tyler used to source a good bit.
Hmm.
And, if I saw that distilled in Owensboro, put it back on the shelf.
Yeah,
But
exactly.
not anymore. That's really good stuff. Really, really good stuff.
Awesome.
So,
I was just curious if you had had a chance to try that
yep.
yet. So
Yep.
cool, cool.
All
All
right.
right.
So let's run down our album of the year nominees.
Okay.
And I will let me get some papers. This show requires a lot of coordination, so I need to get my papers set up, and I'll have to find. I've got graphics, so bear with me, Drew. You can kind of vamp if I get lost. So
All good. I've got
we,
like three screens going, different spreadsheets and text message receipts, just trying to make sure I
uh,
have it. So we're in the same boat.
all right.
So
So in no particular order,
yes.
your albums of the year are.
Cool. So mine will come as no surprise if you've kept up with the show, but nominee number one is the Unreal Unearthed album by Hosier. So Hosier is an artist I've loved for several years now. Um, cover him a little bit in my sets here
Yep.
and there, and just somebody that I've really loved getting a chance to follow. But the Unreal Unearthed album is an exploration via poetry or songwriting or however you consider that of
Yep.
Dante's Inferno. So if you're familiar with that piece of literature,
Yep.
there's seven circles of hell, and each one has to do with a different sin or a different vice, or there's different interpretations.
Yep.
But Hosier explores the descent into hell through this album, and it's just a fascinating concept record. I'll be the first to admit I'm skeptical whenever someone says, "Oh, this is a concept album." I'm like,
Right.
all right, cool. You got a fixation. That's nice. Tell me what you're feeling. But this was a good one. And so really enjoyed getting to explore that album. There's been a couple of times where I've just thrown it on, turned all the lights off, sipped something good, and enjoyed that over the years. So that's nominee
Cool.
number one for me.
Cool. Like it. I like it.
Uh,
And I think you cover a Hosier song in some of your shows, right?
Two or
Yeah.
three? Yeah,
Yeah.
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 I'm a big fan. I can't sing nearly as well as he does, but I try. whenever
I don't know about.
the
I
mood
don't know about that.
strikes.
I don't know about that.
You got one for me?
I do. My first is an oldie but a goodie. At least the band is
Hmm.
Government Mule. Peace Like a River, and I mean, this is if you like jam bands,
Hmm.
this is your album for 2023. Really, really great stuff, and the Billy Gibbons sits in on one of the songs, so that's very cool.
Hmm.
And if you're to all my fellow bass players out there, this is a great bass player album. The bass track on these songs is fantastic. But it weighs in at a little over an hour and in length for the total album. There's a lot of really, really great musicianship on display with it. So Government Mule, Peace Like a River is one of my album of the year nominees.
Love it. Yeah, I got to listen to that one after you sent me your list of nominees
Yeah.
a couple days ago, and I've genuinely deeply enjoyed that. I'm pretty hesitant on the jam band thing, but that's a great record, and I'm sure our mutual friend Jay Tyler will be excited to see a
Uh,
Government Mule record
I'm
in your
sure that he would.
nominees.
I'm sure that he will be. I'm confident he could tell you thousand more things about it than I could,
Sure.
because I think he's seen Government Mule live. What did he tell us? 187 times? Is that right?
Yeah, it was in the mid 50s, I believe. Because when we went to go see Bagman
Yeah,
up near Cincinnati, he was telling us I think it was near the 50s of times.
yeah,
So yeah,
yeah,
very cool. I love it.
yep. All right, what else you got? That's one
All
down
right.
for each of
Yep.
us.
Next one's gonna be the newest record from the Foo Fighters, but here we are. So I should have said this before I talked about Hosier, but my family does a album of the year list every year. All my brothers, my
Oh,
parents,
really?
everybody sends a text message, albums of the year. And now that Kate's involved and my brother's wife and everybody, we all send that. And I had to qualify my list for the show of albums I actually now own on vinyl because I had
Okay.
I had too many nominees, and to get it down to the six for the show, I had to go and say, all right, here's what I actually not only did I listen to and love, but I actually purchased on vinyl. So that was the qualifier. No, but the newest record, but here we are. First record post Taylor Hawkins' death.
Right.
Obviously, a big step for that band. It's a band that I've loved. It's my first concert ever. For those that aren't familiar with the show, and I really think they kind of recaptured some magic that I don't know that I have seen from them since the Echo Silence Patience Grace record.
Mhm.
um, Dave Grohl is back on the drums. Pat Smear is back on the rhythm guitar, and just some really cool songwriting. And one of the fun things that I've kind of explored the more I've listened to this record is they made this album to tour it. And I really
Mhm.
just appreciate when a band will do that. And obviously, they've added, a new drummer for their touring record. I got to see them, not to spoil anything for our future categories, but it's a neat album. It's fun. It's dealing with some topics of grief, dealing with some topics of
Mhm.
kind of evolving forward, um, with loss, and that's something that Dave Grohl obviously has wrestled with tremendously,
Yeah.
with Kurt Cobain and uh, Taylor Hawkins
Yeah.
passing away as deep musical collaborators and friends. So,
Yeah.
love this record. Very excited about it, and glad to be a part of uh, the world when this album came out. So,
Yeah. I I I was hoping that we would get another Them Crooked Vultures album before we got the next Foo Fighters album, but that didn't happen. Uh, I didn't. I wasn't wild about this album when I first heard it.
mhm,
Uh, it a lot of the reviews on it were uh, a lot of the reviews were coming in praising it before anybody ever listened to it. It's like
yes,
sometimes there are some whiskey brands out there that are so high on the bourbon bro level that
Football
uh,
Trace.
prominent whiskey reviewers will uh, laud how great they are before they've even tried it, and so that kind of turned me off a little bit. But I've
Sure.
listened to it several more times, and I like it. I like it quite a bit.
Hmm.
I still want that them
Definitely.
Crooked Vultures album, but they need
I
to get
hope
on
so.
that. John Paul Jones didn't get any younger, so
No,
yeah.
I'll take
Uh,
it whenever they give it to us.
yes, I would agree with that. Um, my next one, Chris Stapleton, his latest album is called Higher, and
Hmm.
he does no wrong.
Nope.
He just doesn't. That
Nope.
every album that he's put out is just absolutely no
Mhm.
skips, no misses, as you like to say. And
Absolutely.
this album's no exception. Uh, he and another songwriter that I know you'll talk about soon. They make songwriting sound like it's so easy
Mm.
because
Hmm.
their lyrics fit the melody and everything just kind of flows and it tells a story and it paints a picture and it's like this songwriting stuff is simple, but
Hmm.
it's not.
Nope. Nope.
but they make it that way.
What would be your standout song from the record if you had to just say, "Hey, here's the one you got to hear." What's
Well,
that one for you?
hang on, I forgot the name of it. This is
Of
bad.
course. Oh, that's fine. I didn't mean to put you on the spot like that.
No, that's all
I
right.
was curious where you would kick people off.
I
Um,
would kick people off at just going through it. uh, I really liked South Dakota, and I
mm,
really liked White Horse.
yes.
I think those were probably the two that I would say those were kind of standouts to me.
Yeah.
But whole album just top notch,
Yep.
beginning to end. So
Throw that on anytime you have 50 to 50, 60 minutes to yourself. Worth a listen. I
yeah,
love it. It's a great record. I know we talked about it when we did our Stapleton episode, but he might have a no skips, no misses career. I don't think
yeah,
he's had a single thing that I wouldn't recommend
yeah,
wholeheartedly. So
yeah,
good,
yep, yep.
good.
What else you got?
Yeah, next one for me is a band called Boy Genius and their album or their record called The Record.
The record.
So this is a big one for me this year. It's been on repeat a lot. For those not familiar with the record or the band, that is Phoebe Bridgers, Julian Baker, and Lucy Dacus. All of them have very successful solo careers, but they do this collaborative thing. You might have seen them on SNL this season, if you're an SNL person, but just beautiful lyricism. I think this is one of the couple of records that have come out this year that if you just printed the lyrics out
Hmm.
and didn't put it with the musical accompaniment, it would stand up just as a book of poetry. And so I've really loved that. A couple of standouts: song "We're in Love" and the song "Emily, I'm Sorry."
Mm.
Both of those were great. And then just to tie it in with the Foo Fighters, there's a song on that record called "Satanist" that Dave Grohl played the drums on, and it was
Oh, cool.
awesome. And they did that. I think it was Coachella. It might have been Lollapalooza. It was one of the big festivals where Foo Fighters and Boy Genius were on there together, and Dave Grohl sat in. It's a very excellent performance. So, yeah, that is a therapy album for me this year.
Mm. Okay. I Of all the ones that you nominated, that was probably the one that I didn't really care for that much.
Sure.
But it, I don't know, it's a kind of, it seemed like a departure from the kind of stuff that you usually
Hmm.
gravitate towards. Um, but that's it's okay. That's okay.
Yep. Gotta swing out of left field every once in a while.
Yep. All right. Well, my next one is Parker Barrow,
Mm,
Jukebox Gypsies, and we'll probably talk about them a couple more times tonight. But
yes.
fantastic band, lead singer, and the drummer Dylan Turner, and Megan Kane is the lead singer. Uh, they're a married couple, just been married a short time, but they've got a great band behind them. got to see them live,
Hmm.
and uh, that was on display. But the songs are great. The everything about it is just top notch. Well, we've had them on the show, got to talk to them, and so can't say enough good stuff about that. Throwing stones, count your dollars, uh, peace, love, and rock and rollin'. All good
Hmm.
songs. There's not a bad one on the whole thing. But
Yeah, absolutely. That is one of my favorite interviews that we've gotten a chance to do this year.
yeah,
Um, they're just lovely people, but that record as a whole, just absolutely tremendous on all accounts.
yep.
And I love when great art is backed up by great people. So
Yes, and it is in their case. It definitely is. Can't say enough good stuff about them and wish them all the best for sure. All right, so what else you got?
sure. Yeah, this is a tough. These are my top three here for album, and this was a very tough order. I know we're doing no particular order, but
Right.
this is the top three for me. So next one's gonna be Noah Kahan's Stick Season.
Mm-hmm.
Specifically the deluxe album that came out this year. The its subtitle will all be here forever.
Yep.
Um, so just an absolute top to bottom, banger after banger after banger. Noah Kahan, for those that aren't familiar, is a songwriter out of Vermont and Wisconsin as well.
Yep.
Kind of split time during childhood, but very honest songwriter about mental health issues, substance abuse issues, all those kind of things, and just connected with me from the first time I heard, the singles off of this album. It's probably
Mm-hmm.
been 18 months ago
Yep.
since this first started to come out on TikTok and in Instagram and other places like that. But uh, this album has just kind of been the soundtrack or one of the soundtracks to this year for me. So, a song called Orange Juice, a
Mm-hmm.
song called Dial Drunk, and a song called Growing Sideways are the standouts for me on
Yeah.
this one. I cover it. I love it. It's just a beautiful record, top to bottom, and just appreciate the vulnerability I think in the
Yeah.
songwriting
Yeah.
for Noah. So
Yeah. I like this one a lot too. Of your nominees, this is, well, it's not my favorite because there are others that you've mentioned before and you'll mention later that I like a little better. But this one's very, very good. I really appreciate you introducing me to it. I
yeah.
thought it was great. Um, my next nominee is Bourbon
Hmm.
House, the fourth album. Uh, we had them on the show. Gosh, I don't know, probably 6 7 months ago. Uh,
Hmm.
Probably just after this thing came out, and it gets you, man. It is a hard driving rock and roll album, and
Yes.
Lacey has a great voice, and Jason plays a mean guitar. Probably one of the best slide
Hmm.
guitar players that I've heard in a while. But definitely check this out. Villain and Love is a Killer are both top notch, top notch. So
Absolutely. Yeah, I think you sent this to me on a trip that I had taken to West Virginia to play some shows, and I very nearly got a speeding ticket listening to Villain.
yeah.
I looked down, I was like, oh, I'm doing 95 and a 70. I need to chill out. That's a great record. It goes very hard, and I would echo everything you said. Killer guitar parts. Lacey's an amazing vocalist, super high energy. Just really enjoy that record. So I
Yeah,
appreciate you turning me on to them, and
yeah.
it was great to have a conversation with them on this show as well.
Yeah, and they've since they were on our show, they signed a record deal. So if you
Awesome.
want a record deal, I guess you just need to come on Bourbon Turntable. Um, but yeah. All right. What else you had?
Check that out.
Couple more.
It's good. Two more for me. Next one's going to be Charles Wesley Godwin, Family Ties.
Yep.
So this was an artist I got turned on to when I got big into Zach Bryan last year. So
Yeah.
Charles Wesley Godwin was the opening act on this last tour, but this is an exploration of relationships with family, relationships with home, kind of a sense of place, and a rootedness.
Hmm.
But just was really drawn to, and I know this is a buzz term, but the authenticity in his songwriting. He
Yeah.
sounds like what he's saying, and I think he means it genuinely. So, songs on here. All Again, and Hardwood Floors were big standouts. But then
Mhm.
there's a song on there called Minor Imperfections. And I don't know if you have gotten a chance to listen to it, but it's a song
Yep.
for his dad. Growing up and doing what it takes as a miner in West Virginia to care for his family and kind of some of the things that come with that. And I can barely listen to it without weeping, just because of some of the people I know that are in that world and grew up in that world, and specifically Kate's dad and the sacrifices that
Mhm.
he's made for their family and
Yep.
his career and for his his body and everything else like that. So beautiful record, top to bottom. Would highly recommend listening to this one. And then I know Joe Rogan is not anybody's like carte blanche recommendation, but Charles Wesley Godwin has a great Joe Rogan interview where he talks
Yeah.
about kind of the writing of the song and or writing of this album. So
Yeah.
yeah, check out the album, check out the interviews. Great guy, and one of the best shows that I've seen this year too.
Hmm. Yeah, I liked him a lot. I thought he was great. Really enjoyed that album. And the songs that you named, I would agree. Those are the standouts on that. Um, my next one, again, no particular order. Queens of the Stone Age and Times New Roman. If we
Yes.
can't get them Crooked Vultures album, at least we got a new Foo Fighters album and a new Queens of the Stone Age album.
Hmm.
And first time I listened to this, I thought this is this is what Queens of the Stone Age should sound like, and
Yes.
it's just terrific from beginning to end. It's got all the clever little vocal puns. Like
Hmm.
one of the songs, the first single off of it is a really great song. It's called "Emotion Sickness," and then there's another one called "Obscenery," "Carnivore."
Kind of
Uh,
warrior. Yeah,
yeah,
that's a great tune.
um, but it's great, and I love Josh Homme's voice.
Hmm.
And I think when he's singing in a lower register, he can pull off a Bowie. He can pull off David
Mm,
Bowie, and
yep,
so I love this album. It's one that I think will stick around in the rotation for years to come. But
agreed. I have a great connection with this album this year as well. That would have been on my honorable mentions.
yeah,
Um, the so earlier in this year, in 2023, I had the opportunity to go and distill a few things with our mutual friend Alan Bishop
hmm,
at his uh, distillery. We'll put it
yes,
that way. And we listened to this album for a couple hours while we were working on that project. And their song "Time and Space" broke my freaking brain. I still don't know how to count that or what
yep,
the time signature is, but just yeah, brilliant record, top to bottom.
yeah,
Carnivore Year, I loved. Um, Time and Space, just all the things that you mentioned as well. But uh, killer record, and I've heard from several people that have had the chance to see them live this tour.
yeah,
This is probably their best tour that they've done in a while. So
cool.
yeah, great
Oh,
record.
yeah, well, good, 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 good. All right, you got one more nominee
Yep,
for album of the year.
sure. Shocking, absolutely no one. My album of the year is going to be "Weather Vanes" by Jason Isbell. Um, so this is a very grown up album for him. If you got a chance to see the HBO documentary on him this past year, the Reunions album was a period of tremendous struggle with his marriage, with his
Hmm.
sobriety. And this is kind of the thing that came out of that period, kind of moving forward. So Cast Iron Skillet is about the closest to perfect song as I've
Yeah,
ever heard. Um, Absolutely, it's brilliant. I don't even have the words to recommend this song really. And Strawberry Woman is an incredible love song. King of Oklahoma, um, shy of John Prine.
yeah,
I don't know if there's a better writer of character songs where it kind of puts you in the perspective of an individual that you're not
yeah,
than King of Oklahoma and Jason Isbell. So
yeah,
yeah, that this was the easy choice to me for album of the year.
yeah. Well, uh, King of Oklahoma, I think, is a great one.
Hmm.
Yeah, I would agree. That was the one that I listened to it and I thought I need to go back and listen to this again. And I probably listened to it 3 or 4
Hmm.
times in a row just because it's so well written. The lyrics are outstanding. So
Hmm.
Um, and
What about you?
my last nominee is, hang on, having graphic trouble here. There we go. Cold Stairs Voices.
Yep.
That album came out in March of 2023. We had Chris Tapp on the show. Uh, we actually got to go see them live together.
Hmm.
I think in January. So that's
Sounds about right.
almost a year ago. Yeah.
Right before
Uh,
the album came out. Yeah.
yep. Yep. The Joy, that was my song of the year last year. They'd released that back in 2022. Um, uh, Come For Me is a great song. Lights Out is a great song. It is a no skips, no misses album.
Hmm.
So, those are uh, my nominees. And just to kind of sum them up, those are list of Drew's nominees. We'll announce album of the year a little later in the show. And these are mine. So we'll get to those in just a few minutes. All right, so let's talk about Whiskey of the Year nominees, and we'll kind of go back and forth as we did before. I think we've got a couple of carryovers here between
Uh-huh.
you and I, so we'll just deal with that as we get to it. But I'll go ahead and start with one of yours again. No particular order. We'll announce
Sure.
nominees now. Announce the winner a little bit later.
Awesome. Yeah, I love it. First nominee for me is going to be the Still Austin Cask Strength Rye. So, uh, encountered this one on a trip to Austin, Texas
Hmm.
earlier in this year. Got to have it again. It was one of those circumstances. Perfect company, perfect meal. I had it with lamb and soft shell crab in a salad thing at some restaurant in Austin,
Yeah.
and they just happened to have this, and so I ordered it. And our friend Nancy Fraley had
Hmm.
a big part in blending and creating this product. So we love that, and big shout out to Nancy. But
Yep.
um, Texas whiskey has kind of caught my attention in a unique way in the past year and a half, 2 years or so. And then Texas rye is this whole other ball game. So really just a dark fruit heavy profile. So kind of that plum and pear kind of a
Hmm.
texture. Doesn't come through with that grassy or minty thing as strong as a lot of Kentucky and Pennsylvania style ryes do. So just really enjoy the variation of this. And it was just again the perfect whiskey at the perfect moment with the perfect friends. So
Good.
yeah,
Yep.
still Austin cast strength rye.
Yeah, good. I like that one. We'll stay in Kentucky for my first nominee and go
Hmm.
with Iron Root Sleight of Hand Brandy. Not a whiskey. I understand that, but we're going to
Yep.
count it anyway. Um, so we've got a Texas rye and a Texas brandy here. Uh,
Hmm.
this stuff is fantastic. This is they've released two different batches of sleight of hand. The first one, which is the one that I'm referring to here, the second one's good. The first one's just off the charts great. It's a cast strength brandy, and just this is how good that is.
Hmm.
We were having a one of our bourbon fellowship groups, and uh, we were trying everything on the tables were single barrels, different
Hmm.
distilleries, you know, rye, bourbon, single malt, whatever. And everything that we were having that night were single barrels. So this is you're thinking, okay, this is the best of the best that all these distilleries have to offer. And so we were talking, and I just got this, and I pulled it out and poured it for one of our friends, Mark, and he said,
Hmm.
"This is the best thing I've had all night."
Hmm.
And he wasn't wrong.
Nope.
It's
Oh, that was
outstanding.
so good. So
Yeah.
good. Yeah.
Yep. Those gingers down in Texas, the licorice folks, are just killing it. Our friend Shannon Hood, it now works with Iron Root, so
Hmm.
hopefully we'll get to hear more from her and more on Iron Root in the future. But sleight of hand brandy, I believe batch two. If you go online, you can still order it. Now they can't ship it to you, but if you can find a mule or make your way to Denison, Texas, you can pick it up. So
Make friends with Shannon Hood. That's the biggest recommendation we could give you this year.
don't do that too much.
Uh,
We don't want to
it's true.
weigh down our own mule.
That's true.
Yeah,
That's good. No, that's an incredible product. I was fortunate enough to try that as well.
yeah,
It's just incredible.
yeah. What else you got?
Good. Well, so I know this one's cheating, and I apologize, but it was just too good to not mention. So, this year's E.H. Taylor single barrel, specifically the Cox's Evergreen pick, that they put out about 3 months back. I got a couple of bottles of this. This is one of those things that, if you're not in Kentucky, I'm sorry. But we build these relationships with liquor store owners over the year, and we buy their single barrels and we buy their day-to-day products, and occasionally someone's kind enough to set something back for us. So this is one of mine. And there was a E.H. Taylor single barrel from Cox's that was, I mean, exact taste of watermelon Jolly Rancher. Um, and it was one of the coolest things I've ever tasted. It's way off profile from most E.H. Taylor single barrels that I've gotten. I believe it was just shy of 6 years old. 100 proof, the E.H. Taylor thing. It was just tremendous. So remind me, I don't know that I've actually brought you your sample bottle for it's still sitting in my pantry, but okay, I'll get that to you soon. But yeah, just great bottle, incredible barrel, and would if you can get your hands on any by any means, I would recommend it. So I know that's cheating, and I'll stop with the single barrels after this.
Well, no, regardless, E.H. Taylor to me is the best thing that they make at Buffalo Trace. Now, why? I don't know. I mean, because so much, there's lots of that mash bill goes in lots of different stuff. So, but I just think it's better. I don't know.
Yeah,
I've even done it blind, and that's what I picked. So,
it's so good.
And Jay Taylor wants to know if brandy is cheating, and I told him yes, it is, and I don't care. So, just deal with it. Just deal with it. I'll give you one here. Let's go with this. It's not a great picture. Come on, Spirits of French Lick. Put better quality pictures online. Hindustan Falls from Alan Bishop and Spirits of French Lick. This is a tremendous whiskey. It is the corn used in it is Amanda Palmer corn. It's like 80% Amanda Palmer corn. And Amanda Palmer corn is special because Alan actually created that strain of corn himself, which is pretty darn cool. I don't think there's a lot of distillers out there that are making whiskey with the corn that they created. So Hindustan Falls, fantastic stuff. So can't say enough good stuff about it.
Yep. Well, you took the words right out of my mouth because I nominated that one as well. Yes, we know and love Alan. We're big fans of him, but this is one of the most special things I think he's created. So obviously to propagate a strain of corn, and to isolate that and do all the work that it takes to kind of resurrect that strain and do what it takes to make that kind of a signature profile of some of his newer whiskeys and some things that you and I've gotten to try that may or may not be on the market yet. That is just incredible. That's a unique flavor profile and one of the most special things I've tasted from Alan. So that was on my list as well.
Yeah, and I think
not to do jinx, but
no, that's fine. That just speaks to how good it is. And Alan mentioned at one point on one show, I don't remember what show it was, but we were talking about that, and he said at one point it was down to 27 stalks of it, and because he had lost it to vermin and varmints and stuff, but he was able to save it, resurrect it, and bring it back, and now it's flourishing, and it's a good thing. So let's talk about Pacific Flyaway straight bourbon whiskey. This year, Chris Koenig, the distiller and owner out at Golden Beaver Distillery in Chico, California, they produced their first straight bourbon whiskey that they distilled there on their property. It's a 4-grain with corn, rice, uh, rye, and barley, and just fantastic. Anybody that's willing to do something to be innovative and creative and pull off a really great product, you've got my attention, you've got my respect, and Chris is definitely doing that out at Golden Beaver.
Absolutely. Good stuff, man. I don't think he misses as well.
Yeah.
But that's a good one. My next one is going to be the Elijah Craig Barrel Proof C923. So I've mentioned Elijah Craig as a favorite of mine in the past on this show, but this one in particular just really struck me. Heavy amounts of brown sugar, kind of the pecan pie note. It's one I got to share with some friends of mine right around my birthday. We had some dinner together and shared this with dessert, and it was just incredible. I think it's right around 100 and I want to say 16 proof.
Yeah.
I don't have the notes in front of me, so I don't recall, but just brilliantly uh, flavorful as far as the sweet confectionery side, the dark aromatic side, just everything you want Elijah Craig barrel proof to be, and just really struck me as something special.
Mhm.
This one, I know you share this opinion, but is one that I try to taste. I don't always try to buy, similar to kind of Booker's or some other of these barrel
Right.
proof expressions that have annual, multi-annual releases. Excuse me.
Yep.
And this one was just so special. So
Yep.
love that one this year.
Yeah. Pat on my whiskey den, he's a big fan of Elijah Craig barrel proofs. You need to. He had actually, we were on a show and he'd made some derogatory comments about it, and
Oh, lovely.
yeah, but
Fight you, Pat.
so
I think
so
he's in
we
the chat tonight.
yeah, he'll probably try to deny it here in a minute, but sorry, buddy. My next one is Buzzard Drew Cigar Rye,
Mm.
batch 3. Just they're doing great stuff at Buzzard Roost, and this cigar rye is one that I kind of keep going back to. I always want to have a bottle and a bottle in reserve, because it's one of
Mhm.
those that just kind of tends to evaporate. I don't know what's going on. They need maybe they need better corks, but the cigar rye is fantastic. So really enjoy it.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yep. Hats
All
off
right.
to Jason Bronner.
Yep.
Everything he's doing. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
great.
And
Uh,
congratulations to him and his business for all the success that they've got. Not only one of the best restaurants in on the planet, doing some great stuff on the whiskey side too. So
agreed.
yep. All right.
2 more for me, I think.
2 more for you. Yep.
So my next nominee is going to be the Yellowstone Limited Edition 2023. So folks that listen to us will have no surprise that we're big fans of Steve Beam and everything that they're producing out there at Yellowstone. But this year's in particular to me was kind of a standout. So, you've got kind of that signature yeast strain flavor out
Mhm.
of a lot of the Yellowstone thing, kind of reminiscent of the peach candy,
Mhm.
peach gummy rings or something similar. Um, but that one kind of faded to the back for me. I got a ton of nutmeg, a ton of like pear flavor, kind of the darker tree fruit kind of
Mhm.
thing. Maybe like a plum, but not quite that dark. Um, but then just tons and tons of that baking spice, just ever so slight oak influence. So just a little bit dry, a little bit sweet, a little
Mhm.
bit of the baking spice. It's just maybe the most balanced pour that I've had this
Yeah.
year. So love that one.
Yeah. To me, it's one of those that it has just enough oak influence in the finish that
Mhm.
it makes you want to take another drink.
Yes.
You know what
Yeah.
I mean?
It dries you out just enough.
Right.
Yeah.
And those are dangerous. Those are very, very dangerous. Um, Speaking of dangerous, I've got two more here. Let's put this Deer Hammer Progeny series number 4. This thing is fantastic. It's American single malt. It is, read the stats on this thing. It is finished in Albarino wine casks, cider casks, and brandy casks. And I'm not usually a guy that falls for, a finished whiskey. Certainly not if it's, put into 3 different types of finishing barrels.
Mhm.
This is the exception to that rule. It is so well done. Everything about it is just fantastic.
Well, I couldn't have said it better, but my bottle did not last long enough to make it to tonight to read the stats. But yeah, that was my final nominee as well. Lenny does an incredible job of capturing something unique. Um,
Yep.
I know there's discussions around the terroir or whatever you want to call it,
Hmm.
sense of place for American whiskeys, but I think what Lenny is doing there at Deer Hammer is the strongest argument for that that you can have, and he's truly captured something unique. Every single product that they put out there at Deer Hammer is something different from your typical American whiskey flavor profile, but this one in particular um, just really stood out. And I probably went through a quarter of that bottle before I could even get tasting notes on it because I was so blown away. But just super super flavorful.
Yeah.
The dark fruits, the tree fruits, um, kind of a weird like beautiful bitterness, not in terms of like drying, but like in terms of kind of balance with
Hmm.
the other fruity things that were going on, and just so beautiful. Made me re-fall in love with American single malt. So yeah, that was a good one.
Yeah, I think it's stellar. It just really is. And again, when you're finishing something in multiple barrels like that, you've got to really be paying attention to what you're doing, because I think that it can get away from you pretty quickly. Not that I've done that, but I've tasted things that have obviously somebody forgot about it and left it in the barrel too long, and
Sure.
it tastes like a great popsicle.
Right.
All right, I've got one more whiskey to mention, and that is the Peerless High Rye Bourbon. This was a special release that came out, I think, during the summer, and uh, to me, it's the best thing Peerless has made.
Hmm.
So I really enjoy it. Very good stuff, and um, you know, it's now I think it's out in normal rotation. So if you have Peerless in your area, I highly recommend trying it, or at least find a bar that serves it and give it a taste, because I think you'll really enjoy it. So those are our whiskey of the year nominees. Let me remind everybody what those are real quick. There's Drew's, and here are mine, and couple we carried over on this year. So
Hmm.
the Deerhammer Progeny and the Hindustan Falls, or Hindustan Falls, as I like to say.
Now
Um,
we don't trust the Hoosiers and their pronunciation.
no, you can't, especially the honkies, the Hoosier occupied Northern Kentucky people.
Uh-huh.
So, all right. So let's talk songs of the year. And
Yeah,
so just kind of run down your list. We won't go back and forth on this. Just run down your list and then tell us what your song of the year was.
sure. So yeah, I'll just do these quickly. First nominee is going to be a song called "Northern Attitude" by Noah Khan. Excuse me.
Hmm.
This was a first single off that record in the first two or three things he released. I've had the fortunate opportunity to see him live a couple times, and this is what he opens with. It's just so fun, and it's been something that the band and I have really loved, and we've integrated into our set. So that one's up there for me. The Glass, Foo Fighters.
Yep.
Uh, again, I'm pulling songs a lot from these albums of the year nominees for me, but that one's just super super fun. And
Yep.
I think this one of all the songs on that record captures the energy and the unique artistry of Dave Grohl as a drummer.
Yep.
So I loved that one as well. Charles Wesley Godwin, Hardwood Floors. That's a really, really fun, kind of a love song, kind of a
Mhm.
rock song. Just a really good time and something that's been in heavy rotation for me this year. Uh, Cody Johnson and I forget the other guy's name. His last name's Munswick,
Yep.
but they had a song called "Long Live Cowgirls," and it's it's just it makes me grin every time I hear it. And think how about them cowgirls, George Strait, but with lots and lots of harmonies and kind of a love song to the general concept of free spirited women. So it's a good
Yep.
one that I've loved. Yeba, The Age of Worry.
Yep.
So this is not a 2023 song. I will qualify that, but it's a song I found in 2023. So Age of Worry is John Mayer tune from the Born and Raised record. And then Yeba is an artist that I've found in the last year or so who did a cover, and it's an incredible rendition. Lots of harmonic substitutions, chord substitutions. But her
Mhm.
rhythm section on that is Pino Palladino, who plays in the John Mayer
Yes.
Trio, and Questlove from The Roots. And it's just a really, really neat cover. Um,
I
it
didn't
kind of broke
realize
my
that
brain.
when I listened to that. I'll have to go back and listen to it again because
Okay,
those are, I mean, Pino Palladino, I think, he's one of the better bass players in the world. So,
God tier,
yeah.
God tier.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, it's great. Check it out on YouTube. They've got some fun inside studio stuff that they did with them. So that's good. And then final nominee for me is a song called "Basic Channels" by Josiah and the Bonnevilles.
Yeah.
Song he wrote for his folks, kind of talking about uh, the simple love that it takes to make a life together work.
Mm.
And if you have each other, the basic channels and a dirty yard and a tiny house and slow evenings together is what it takes. And that's
Yeah.
been a great love song that I've enjoyed and appreciated, and probably something Kate and I are going to use in a wedding if I had to guess. So, yeah.
Awesome. I like it.
So those are my
I like it a lot.
nominees. What about
Yep.
you?
My nominees are there's a song on the new Royal Blood album. The album's called Back to Water Below. The song is
Mm,
called Pull Me Through. It's a
yes.
very haunting uh, song. If you listen to a lot of Royal Blood, a lot of the Royal Blood stuff is just very high energy, uh, uh, really a lot of fuzz on the bass guitar, and the drums are just maniacal. This song is a little different. Like
Yeah.
I said, it has that kind of haunting feel to it. Uh, Really good song. Pull Me Through. Uh, Another song is just a single that the Cold Stairs released this year called "Cross the Line." You talk about some glorious fuzz on a guitar. Chris Tapp's got it going on that, so it's a wonderful song. Uh, then a song called "Last Train to Nowhere" by Ghost Towns.
Hmm.
Their new album's called "First Last Time." If you don't know the Ghost Towns, you need to know the Ghost Towns. Really great band. Uh, a lot of, to me, a lot of their music just surprises me. So check that out. Another one is on the Rolling Stones' new album. That album's called Hackney Diamonds. They do a song with Lady Gaga called "Sweet Sounds of Heaven,"
Mm,
uh, and it's it's very special. I think the new Rolling Stones album itself is okay. Um, Maybe I would say above average for what all gets released in a given year. But this song itself is really really good.
mhm,
Um, it it's a lot of reflection of Mick about kind of his mortality,
mm.
which if you've lived the rock and roll lifestyle and you're in your mid 70s now, I could imagine that would be something that one would do. Uh, Our friend Sweet Lady released a song this year called "She's on Fire." I thought that was probably the best single that they've released so far. I keep hearing rumors that an album will be released soon, but the song "She's on Fire" is just very, very special. It is just a great blues rock song. So
Hmm.
if you haven't listened to that, go to Spotify, type in "Sweet Lady," and they've only probably got 4 or 5 songs on Spotify right now. So just listen to all of them. "She's on Fire" is on that, and it's my favorite. And then the last one that I had is from Bagman, which is our good friend Steve Gorman on drums and Luther Dickinson on guitar and Nick Gronick on bass. Uh, Song called "Listen People."
Hmm.
I guess they've released maybe 7 singles throughout the last half of 2023. So those are my Song of the Year nominees. So Drew, what is your Song of the Year?
Yeah. Mine's gonna have to be Basic Channels, Josiah and the Bonnevilles.
Yep.
Um, I base that solely on the number of times that I've pulled it up and played it. There's too much good music to pick one song. It's so difficult. But
Yeah,
yeah,
it
I
is.
would say that's the number one for me.
Yeah, that's that's good. Um,
How
I
about you?
like you say, it's tough to narrow it down to one, but I can't go against the Rolling Stones and Lady Gaga,
Yep.
especially if it's something as good as "Sweet Sounds of Heaven." So
Yep.
that's my Song of the Year for 2023.
Love
Um,
it.
so
Love it.
uh,
I love your list, by the way. I had not heard the Ghost Towns tune until I got this,
mhm,
list of nominees from you, and it's fantastic.
yeah,
So really enjoyed that. I think that they use space on that tune very, very well. It's
hmm,
kind of haunting the way that the arrangement is. There's less busyness and more kind of openness. Um, so very,
interesting.
very exciting. And then you mentioned Sweet Lady having a new
Yeah.
album. I can't say too much because I don't want Chris and Brandon to be mad at me, but got to spend a little bit of time at the Monarch with them last week writing,
Oh,
and
cool.
the stuff that they have for this new record, really good. It's really,
Awesome.
really, really good. So I'm excited for everybody else to get to hear those songs.
Oh, good, good, good. Well, well, their name will come up again before we're done tonight. So let's talk about our live show of the year.
Yeah. All right.
So your live show of the year. Start us off with one.
Sure. Well, so do we want to go back and forth, or do you want to just get the whole list?
Let's go back and forth because I think
Okay.
that'll be good. Yep.
All right. So first nominee for me is going to be George Strait and Chris Stapleton at Nissan Stadium.
Yeah.
So that was a cool gift from Caitlin to me to get to go and see that show. Little Big Town were the openers, and nobody needs to spend money on Little Big Town tickets. Could have done without that. Um, but just to see two legends, really from two different generations,
hmm
in George Strait and Chris Stapleton, was an incredible thing. They did some duets. I did not realize going into that show how many George Strait singles that Chris Stapleton had written, and they did 3 of them together. So that was a
Wow.
cool moment to get to see that. Um, just an incredible night. Get to spend with family and friends and see those two legends. So that's first nominee for me.
Oh, that's very good. That's a tough one to beat. Just because you'll never see that again, right?
Right.
There's little chance that you'll see that again. So,
Well, they have a 2024 tour dates announced. I think they're
do
doing 8
they
more cities. So
really? Oh wow! I thought
at
that was
least,
just kind of a one-off thing. So that's very
yep,
cool.
yep, yep.
No,
They're doing more West Coast and Western cities this year, but definitely worth
okay.
checking out if you can get out there.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's cool. I love it. Um, I'll start out. Tedeschi Trucks. Cindy and I saw a Tedeschi Trucks band in St. Louis this year,
Hmm.
and yeah, they never disappoint. It's always just
Mhm.
outstanding, and I'll argue with anybody. Well, I won't argue with you. I'll just tell you, Derek Trucks is the best living guitar player
Yeah.
in the world,
Yep.
and you can argue other people, and that's fine. You're welcome to your opinion,
You could
but
be wrong.
you could be wrong. This is America. You can be as wrong as you want to be. Uh, and uh, uh, Susan Tedeschi is got to be one of the best vocalists in the world. But
Mhm.
in this show where we saw them, she played more guitar than I'd seen her play before when I've seen them live. So
Mhm.
she put her guitar skills on display, and it's pretty darn good. Um, Steve Gorman, when we were first one time when I was talking with him about them, he said it's not fair for one band to have the best guitar player and the best vocalist.
Yep.
So
Agreed.
that is one of my shows of the year.
Absolutely. Yeah, that's an honorable mention show for me. Just been a great year for shows, but I think we saw them a couple days apart on that same tour, and man, they're both just incredible. So
Yeah,
big props to them. Next one for me is going to be Tommy Prime at the Whirling Tiger here in Louisville.
very cool.
So that was a unique experience. I'm a huge John Prine fan. It's been interesting to follow Tommy, his son, kind of try to break out of the shadow of his dad. He made the record with Rustin Kelly, who I make no bones about being my favorite. And it was just a cool thing to see him. It was him and one other guitar player at a really intimate venue here. Got to see him with our mutual friend Jay Tyler. I think we paid like $20 to get like front row tickets.
Yeah,
I mean, we get to spit on the guy, and it was just a really unique show. That was a great record. It's called This Far South. I know it
yeah,
didn't make my album of the year list, but that's a great one. So
yeah. It's still very good.
cool show.
Still
Yeah.
very good. Um, my second one is the Bagman Show.
Mm,
You know, we went up there. You already mentioned
yes.
Jay. Jay went up there with us. We met Jason Johannes, who's with the All Things Blues and Southern Rock podcast. He met us
Hmm.
there. Just a really great time. Hang on a second. Got a picture of something somewhere. Um,
That was such a fun night.
yeah. Hey,
Maybe the most.
look, there we are. Yeah,
Hey,
pre-showing.
awesome.
And
Yes.
here I am with our friend Steve. I don't know what happened to the to my eyes in that picture. I promise I'm not stoned. But yeah, that was a fun show.
Yeah.
They were terrific. It, they're 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 traveling, doing shows just here and there. I think they're going to be in Colorado soon. So
Hmm.
just follow them on social media, or just follow us on social media, and we'll make you aware of it too. But if you get a chance to go see Bagman do it, it's just
Yes.
great music. So
Yep. Very rarely have I seen three musicians more in sync with each other on stage.
yeah,
That was special. Maybe the most mediocre hamburger I've ever had in my life that we ate before that show. But we had some great, laughs, some great conversations, had some great whiskey, and saw some incredible music. So
yeah,
that was a great
yeah,
night. Yeah,
yeah.
most definitely.
Bad hamburger
Most definitely.
aside. All right, what's your next one?
Next one for me is gonna be Tyler Childers at Bonnaroo.
Yeah,
So that was cool. I had never gotten a chance to see Tyler Childers live, and I was not the biggest fan of his last record. But this newest one was pretty incredible. The
yeah,
Rustin in the Rain record. Got to hear his single "In Your Love" performed live for the very first time he ever did it. So
yeah.
that was a cool, like, monumental moment. Almost killed like 6 people in the line for that show. I don't know if you remember my story from that,
Yes,
but we waited for 3 hours and then we're treated to a bunch of people trying to jump gates and cut in lines, and
yeah.
it was a rough time, but that was just an incredible experience,
Hey,
and
there you are.
getting to see. Hey, that's that show. So
There's Monterey.
there you go.
Yeah,
Yep,
yep.
that's
Um,
that's number 3 for me.
okay, I've got to go back to Bagman for a second because Jay
Okay.
reminded me the worst opener.
Oh, buddy.
Dear Lord in heaven, I don't
Yeah.
know what was going on there. That was awful. That was
Acid.
flat out
Acid is
awful.
what was going on.
I don't know. Maybe if you were doing acid, it would have sounded good, but
Oh,
it was just.
oh, that was
Oh,
brutal.
I don't know how they must have. Their dad must have owned the venue or something because it was. I don't know any other reason why that would be there. Um, but my next one is I got to see Dusty Bowe and the Contraband as
Hmm.
they kicked off their Westbound Mess Around tour.
Hmm.
Mike was in town from Kansas City, and we got to go see Dusty at Fox 10. First time I've seen him live with his band, and it did not disappoint. It was
Those
just
guys rock.
God, and yeah, the whole band is just fantastic.
Hmm.
So, uh, tell you what, if you're, I know that you don't necessarily have a steady, regular bass player other than Lorenzo. If you're looking for
Hmm.
a bass player, you need to get the guy in uh, Dusty's band
Yes.
because he's top notch and he looks the
Quite
part
good.
too. Yeah.
Yes.
So
Great musician. I think I saw that. I don't remember if it was the day before or the day after that they did that little mom's music show.
yeah,
I think
yeah.
it
It
might have
was the
been the day
day
before.
before, day before. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Killer band, great guys. And I also just I love to see good people be that successful. Dusty is one of the kindest and most generous musicians that I've met with his time, with his
Yep.
talents. He's happy to support local musicians, and doesn't hold the fact that he's better than all of us over anyone's head. So, love to see him be successful.
Yeah.
Friend of the show, friend of both of us
Yeah.
individually, and yeah, that's a great one.
Yeah. He's got it as far as I'm concerned. He has the talent on guitar. He can write songs. He has a great uh, uh, vocal ability. He puts on a fantastic show. You know, get to know Dusty Bowe's music while you can. You can say you
Mhm,
knew him back then because
mhm.
one of these days, he'll be opening at arenas and stuff, and he'll forget about us. But we'll find a way to hassle our way into shows.
Absolutely.
All right, what else you got?
Yep. Couple of more for me. I
Yep.
think three more. Noah Khan at Paris Town Hall and also Bonnaroo. Got to
Yeah.
see him twice this year. But the Paris Town Hall show was really special. Um, it's a hometown show. It was kind of right before the album gained a ton of traction on TikTok and Instagram and stuff like that. I think we saw him in February,
Mhm.
here in town. Jack Van Cleef opened. I've mentioned Jack on
Yeah.
a couple of these shows, but it was just super super fun. And it was the first show that I've been to in a long time where every single song it was a full audience sing along. So it's just really really great.
Well, that's
I
cool.
had the exact right amount of Old Forester in me to enjoy that show. We got some donuts from across the street right before, and it was awesome, awesome show. So
Yeah. Very
another one
cool.
for me.
Um, all right, this is tough. Um, Mo- Mojo Thunder and Sweet Lady played at
Hmm.
Zanzibar, and that that was a fantastic show. Mojo Thunder had just come off their tour of Europe.
Hmm.
They scheduled a show at the Borough in Lexington and a show at Zanzibar here in Louisville. Just as kind of a welcome home thing. And if you've not heard Mojo Thunder's stuff, their album is Hymns from the Electric Church. You need to check that out. It's great. But
Great record.
if you get a chance to see them live, it's truly a band that the live performance exceeds what's on the album. And the album's great, but
Mhm.
uh, they're just great. But and I've seen our friend Sweet Lady, I don't know, a dozen times
Yeah.
more. I don't know, but that was probably the best that I've ever seen them.
Hmm.
They were just completely on, and Blue Williams managed to get into this kind of pose at one point during the show, and I was fortunate enough to snap a picture of it. But
Yeah.
that was a great concert.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah. Blue's the best, man. He's a
yeah.
union electrician, a father of two, a homeowner, and an absolute badass on that little call.
Yes, he really is.
He's so good, man.
That's a
He's
good way
so
to
good.
describe him. It's a good way to describe him.
Love
Um,
that dude.
okay, what else you got?
Yep, two more. I'll be quick.
Okay,
First one was going to be Rustin Kelly at Mercury Ballroom.
yep.
This is my chance to see him coming off the Weakness album release, and just a special night for me. It was right around the time of a sobriety anniversary for me.
Mhm.
With substance abuse things in my past and kind of Rustin's history of being a help to me and all of that, and so about as close to a spiritual experience as a show for me, and getting a chance to just spend some time reflecting on that guy and what his music has done for me. So
Yeah,
that was special.
that's very cool. Very cool. And you've got one more after this. Is that right?
I do. Yeah.
Okay. All right. I'll say the Cold Stairs with Sweet Lady in
Mm,
Evansville.
that was a great
That was a
night.
great show. Two bands that I love, and the guys in the band I've got a lot of respect for. That was a lot of fun. Great show. We were right up against the
Right up the
stage, so
stage.
we're sitting like this almost, and but great time. So
Yeah. My ears hurt, and I would not recommend anybody hunt for bourbon in Evansville, Indiana, but could not beat the music and could not beat the company. That was a great night.
That's true. That is true.
Great night.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
Awesome.
What's your
Uh,
last one?
Last one for me is going to be the Foo Fighters show to close out Bonnaroo.
Yeah.
So, Foo Fighters, you know, high up on my album of the year nominee list. Big band for me, somebody I love. But the very, very last night of that festival, got to go in and see Paramore right into the Foo Fighters, and it was, I think like 1 o'clock in the morning or something like that.
Yeah.
And it was just me and Kate on a blanket about 100 yards back from the stage in the pouring rain, screaming our lungs out. So is it kind of capstone on an incredible weekend, great friends, all that kind of stuff. But they played everything you would want them to play. And they brought out Haley Williams to do My Hero. They got, you know, Josh Freese, their new drummer, and let him do the Devo thing and the Nine Inch Nails thing. I mean, it just perfect set list, perfect experience.
Yeah.
But it was just an opportunity to scream my lungs out to one of my favorite bands. So
Very cool.
that's the last one on my list.
Very cool.
Yeah.
Last thing on my list is almost a repeat of what I'd said before. Saw the Cold Stairs. Dirty Streets is another band that's just fantastic. They opened for the Cold Stairs on their album release show at the Basement in Nashville. I don't know if you've
Yeah.
been to the Basement, but it's not in a basement, but it feels like a basement, a very,
Might as well
very
be.
small basement. But that was loud. That was very, very loud, but it was fantastic. Dirty Streets, I think, are great. Got to see them then, and got to see them one night at Portal here in Louisville. And I don't know if they just didn't advertise the show well or what, but there were a dozen people there. And so but anyway, the show in Nashville in March, releasing that Cold Stairs album was a lot of fun too. So
Absolutely.
your live show of the year is what?
That's gonna be the Foo Fighter show at
Yeah,
Bonnaroo. Yeah. That
yeah.
was irreplicable.
I get that. I get that.
Yeah. That was special. How about you?
Um, well, I'm going to cheat a little. I cheated with having a brandy on a whiskey show.
Uh-huh.
I'm going to cheat here, and I'm just going to say Sweet Lady is my live show of the year because with the Mojo Thunder show, the show with the Cold Stares, the show that you did with them, and
Mm-hmm.
Taylor Shelby Lore Band.
Probably Lore. Yep.
Yeah, those were all just fantastic shows. So live show of the year, just sweet lady. Wherever, high energy
Period.
show, yeah, wherever. So
Love it.
they haven't
Love it.
played live in a while. They need to get back on the stick.
Yeah. I think there's some things maybe coming. We can talk
Yeah.
offline about.
All right, good deal. Uh, all right. So we had mentioned earlier our whiskeys of the year.
Mm-hmm.
So um, let's remind everybody what those were. Drew, these were yours,
Mm-hmm.
and your whiskey of the year is what?
Mine's gonna be the Deer Hammer Progeny. Just for
Look
the
at that.
surprise, for the beauty, for making me fall in love with something that I had fallen out of love with. And also just can't say enough good things about Lenny as
Yeah.
an individual. So that's my whiskey of the year.
That's a good
And
whiskey of
yours?
the year. That's a really good whiskey of the year.
I know. I wish I had saved some because that bottle barely made it 2 weeks in my house.
I wish you'd save some too. I'm going to hide mine when you come over to my house.
Fair enough.
Um,
Fair enough.
these were mine, and again, Drew, looking at your list, there's not a bad pour. There's not an average pour in that list. It's
Mm-hmm.
all really good stuff, and uh, if you came over to my house and I gave you any of these, you would be happy. I promise you. But my whiskey of the year is Deer Hammer Progeny
Hey,
number 4.
awesome,
It
awesome.
when I first got a hold of that, um, it took and I poured it in the glass. First of all, you can look at that and just see how gorgeous that is. It literally took 10 minutes before
Mm.
I took a sip because it just it's gorgeous. Gorgeous on the nose. But it's got it's like cherry blackberry cobbler jam, chocolate covered raisins, cinnamon,
Mm-hmm.
honey. It's gorgeous. And like pretty much most everything that Lenny does, it's got a chocolate note to it because he uses that chocolate malt.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but yeah, it's just terrific. And I don't know that you can get the Progeny ordering online, but Deer Hammer, you go to deerhammer.com, you can see what they have on the website, and they will ship to you.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm telling you, anything that you order, you will be happy with. Check out that hickory smoked corn whiskey. That's also really good. So, Lenny, congratulations. I think you knew before that we were a big fan of yours and respect what you do. But this is the third year we've done this. This is the first time that we've come up with the same whiskey as whiskey of the year. So,
Yeah.
congratulations to you. Yeah, does that come like double gold or double platinum or some sort of nonsense award?
Maybe we need to start our own version of that at some point, but
Yeah, we
it'll
could do
be the
that.
same BS that everybody else
Yeah.
does. You know, that's great.
Um,
Yeah, cheers to Lenny. That's
yeah.
just an incredible one. And maybe if Kevin is so inclined, once it hits February, I'll pour a toast in your honor.
Yeah. And Jay wants to know if there's a fan of the year mentions. Look, Jay, we've talked about you I don't know how many times tonight. Okay.
Yeah, it's like six
Yeah.
mentions, man.
Yeah. And then our good friend Chris. Chris, man, I love what you do. I have a great respect for you. You're very generous with your whiskey, and I look forward to the day that I can just walk down the street and get it off the shelf here. But in the
Hmm.
meantime, I just love what you got going on, and just keep on keeping on, brother, because you're doing the things that are making a difference in the whiskey world because you're doing things different. You're not doing things the same old way. and I got a lot of respect for that. So,
Yeah,
uh, all right,
absolutely.
so let's talk album of the year.
Yeah.
Drew, yours were here.
hmm I don't think there's a bad record on that list. I know it's my list, but I
Yep.
would highly and full-throatedly recommend all of those. But I think I spoiled it earlier. But mine is Weather Vanes by Jason Isbell in the 400 unit.
Yeah.
Um, don't think I could pick a better written album of anything in the last, probably 3, 4 years. It's just bears repeating. I probably listened to it once a week since it came out. It's just fantastic.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, that is great. Um, yeah, I can't argue with Jason Isbell as a songwriter. Just
hmm
incredibly, incredibly good. And like I said before, he and Stapleton just make it look like it should be easy,
yeah.
but it's a gift. It is absolutely a gift. My albums of the year are here. We've been fortunate enough to have some of these folks on the show before. Um, Chris Stapleton, the offers out there, but have your people call my people. Uh,
mhm,
but my album of the year is the Cold Stairs
Yes.
Voices. Uh, it it just hits on every level. They're just a band that I just connect with, musically,
hmm
lyrically, spiritually, whatever you want to call it. Um, and I've heard some of the stuff that's going to be on their new album called The Southern, which should be out probably spring. Um, and they're doing some of those songs live, and they're just taking it up, cranking it up a notch.
hmm
And according to Chris Tapp, they're going to do two Cold Stairs albums in 2024, and he is going to do an acoustic solo album.
All right.
So we've got a lot
That's
of really good
awesome.
music to look forward to with all that. So um, just check those guys out. Check out the Jason Isbell album out. All the albums
hmm
that we listed. I mean, we're not going to put it on the list if we think that it's not deserving. And some of these things I know that you may have heard of before. Like everybody's heard of Chris Stapleton, everybody's heard of Jason Isbell. Some of these you've probably not. You may not have heard of Parker Barrow or Bourbon House or Boy Genius.
hmm
So uh, we try to introduce some new things to you, both on the music side and the whiskey side. So um, those are our uh, nominees and the winners in that category. Now, Drew, you've got something you want to talk about as far as future stuff?
Yeah, absolutely. So I wrote something out, and I'm not sure if that's, going to be right. So I'm going to do my best to kind of speak from my heart. But I would just want to take a few minutes and share that this is going to be my last show with Bourbon Turntable for the foreseeable future. Um, I've just loved every second of the shows that I've gotten to be a part of, and I really cherish the friendships that I've made. Both the ones that I had before we started the show and the ones that I've made since starting this show. Um, the past couple of months have brought about quite a bit of change for me. Just some circumstances with, traveling for work. That's why I've missed a few shows. I'm in the middle of planning a wedding, music obligations, and um, as well as just kind of a need to re-examine my own personal relationship with alcohol. So those are kind of the mitigating factors as to why I've made this choice. Couple of other things just to mention, I guess. Kevin and I are still dear friends. We've talked about this a lot. In a lot of ways, I think we're about as close as we've ever been, and so this is not, a departure in that relationship or a change in
Mhm.
that relationship. And I hope not a change in the relationship with my friends that I made through Bourbon Turntable. I just need to kind of make this choice to step away for
Mhm.
the foreseeable future. So, yeah, again, I've loved every moment of my time on this show. I wish everybody the best, part of the Bar Cart Co-op, and Kevin, with the future of the show. Um, yeah, I love you guys all, and I hope to see more of you soon. I'll definitely continue in the Facebook groups and in the the meetings and all that kind of stuff. But
Yep.
yeah, felt the need to share that. So hopefully that sums up everything. I didn't even try to read the statement because that wasn't going to work. I was too emotional about it. But yeah, anyway,
Yeah.
there you go.
Well, um, I appreciate you more than you know. I love you. Uh,
Yeah,
to say you're a friend is an incredible understatement.
absolutely.
Um, there are there are things that we have experienced together that people just most friendships don't know.
Mhm.
And you mean a great deal to me. Um, Gosh, I think we met what 7 years ago, something like that.
Yeah, it's got to
And
be at least that.
yeah, so um, and it just a very unlikely relationship. I mean, I'm probably your dad's age or older. And there's in a lot of ways you're like a third son to me,
Hmm.
but in a lot of ways you're just my good friend Drew. And when I came up with the idea to do this show, it wouldn't have made any sense to start it without you. um, but we'll keep on plugging along on Bourbon Turntable, and so we'll talk a little bit more about some shows we've got coming up. And you know, doors always open, invitations always there. So,
Yeah, absolutely.
but
Well, thank you.
yep,
I love you. Yeah.
yeah, love you too. Let's talk about some other stuff. Looking back on the year that was 2023, memorable pours. And this is not something where we're gonna list some nominees and name the most memorable pour of the year. But what were some memorable pours for you?
Anything I've tried in your basement, is it's gotta go on that list. I won't beat a dead horse, but those tables tend to be a little bit ridiculous, on the 3rd Thursday of the month
Hmm.
when we all get together. So, I think there's been a couple that stand out to me. You and I and our friends Mark and Tom met at Buzzard's Roost. Uh, I don't know, it's probably 5, 6 months back when they first opened their doors,
Yep.
and we got to try the new version of their cigar blend, that or cigar batch,
Yep.
excuse me. That was an incredible one. Again, just great company, great time. And then the other one that stands out, and forgive me, I forget the name of the distillery. It was something 33. Um, you remember what I'm talking? It was an American single malt. You poured me in your basement. I'd come over to test out some podcast equipment,
Oh, I think
and
that may have been the Westward.
maybe so. You described it as a knee buckler,
Yeah, that
and
that was that would have been it. Yeah.
yeah, it was earlier this year. I think that I had
Yep.
had that for the first time, and
Yep.
holy crap, that
Yeah.
was incredible.
That was a good one.
I've had dozens, if not tens of dozens of great pours with great people this year, but
Yep.
those two stand out in particular.
Yep. Um, yeah, those are good. Um, I've had an opportunity to befriend uh, a real bourbon legend in Jerry Dalton.
Mhm.
Um, and I go by and visit him, at least every month or two. And just being able to sit down with Jerry and have a couple pours with him has been really special. I had a Knob Creek 25th anniversary, something that I've had for a few years.
Mhm.
But it would have been stuff that Jerry would have distilled. Um, and I got to share that with him, and he'd never had it before. And he had never had the one of the Jim Beam signature series. He
Mhm.
had never had one of those before, so we got to try that together, and that's really cool.
Yeah.
Um, I got to visit Spirits of French Lick uh, back in early 2023 and sit down with Alan and Dale and um, uh, just talk with them for a while and got to try this. Maddie Gladden before it got
Yes.
released, so that was pretty cool. Saw Parker Barrow live. They were fantastic. And let me see here. I've got a picture of them here somewhere. And after the show, we got to do. We did some shots with them, which was fun. Yeah, here we go.
Awesome.
Yeah, Cindy and I got to see them together. Yeah.
Do you remember what the shots were of?
Four Roses. Four
All right.
Roses, probably just Yellow Label, but
Yeah.
who
Hey,
cares? It was fun.
it's the company that counts, right?
We had the night before Bourbon on the Banks. We had the Ewads and the Robinsons over, and Mike was in town, and so we had drinks on the Bushwood patio. Got to try the cocktail that Adina had made that won the event for Bourbon Women. In the Distill America, there were some great pours there. We all got there's a term now called being weddled, which is Mitch Weddle, which means that he gives you too much whiskey. And Morgan Wade is partner in crime and partner in life, I guess. And that was a lot of fun. So those again, most of the time it's who you're with and what the event. And 2024 is going to have some great ones. My son's wedding, your wedding, for toppers. So that'll be some good pours there too.
Absolutely. Looking forward to that
Yeah.
tremendously.
Yeah. Okay, so this is your last show here, at least for a while. Any standout shows? Anything that just kind of either from this year or
Ooh,
since you've been around, or
yeah.
since the show's
I
been
mean,
on?
I was gonna say there's been so many. I think any time that we've been fortunate enough to sit down with Jolie and Alan has been an absolute pleasure. Mostly because we can sit back and watch the chaos ensue,
Right.
and the sibling rivalry display itself. But
Yeah.
the shows that we've done with Steve Gorman, shows that we've done
Mhm.
with Nancy Fraley, the show that we did with Dusty a while back,
Yep.
where he was the first one that he was on, where he talked about his record and everything like that.
Yep.
Just those all stand out to me as particularly special, not because of the pours, not even because of the content itself, but just
Mhm.
because of the friendships that we were able to make
Yep. Yep.
through those times. So those all stand out to me. How about you?
Um, I would agree on all the ones you named. The shows with Nancy have always been special. The shows with Steve have been as well. The show with Parker Barrow,
Yeah.
I didn't know what to expect in that show, because if you look at all their promo photos, Dylan looks like he's angry. And Megan, she could be the stuck-up cheerleader if she wanted to, because she's just adorable. But they're the sweetest people. Yeah, like I said, I'd adopt them. They're I hope that they have just incredible raging success, because you want people that are that good, that kind, that just decent. You want to see people like that succeed, and their music it holds up to that standard too. So when we had Paul and Mary Beth on from MB Roland, that was a lot of fun.
Yeah, that's
Mary
great.
Beth kind of sitting off stage and commenting and correcting Paul as
Still
she went
stole the
along.
show.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes, definitely. The show we did with David Levine, I thought was great. And we got into some really good conversations. One, surprising the depth of his musical ability, and two, just the depth of the conversation regarding authenticity and branding and labeling and that kind of thing.
Yep.
And the show we did with Jimmy Bratcher, that was really special for me.
That was neat. Yeah.
uh, Jimmy he's the real deal. If you profess to be Christian, uh, you need to follow. You need to look at what Jimmy does, because Jimmy does the stuff that we're supposed to be doing. He's the guy that goes to the prisons, into the homeless, and uh, does what he can to give them hope and direction. And uh, his album is fantastic too. It's great music. But yeah, the show with Jimmy was a lot of fun too. So
Absolutely. Those are some standouts.
so hang on. Yeah, we need a Bourbon Turntable Festival with all these bands, yes. And I have the vision in my head. I just need the money to make it happen. So, Jay, if you've got a fat bank account that you're willing to fund this thing, we'll do it. We'll do it.
Mm-hmm.
I know exactly how I want this done, and it'll be fantastic. But we'll get it done at some point. We'll get it done at some point.
Be awesome.
Anything else, Drew, before we wrap stuff
Uh,
up?
nope, not that I can think of at this point. Just thank you to everybody who's watched or listened or subscribed. It's been great to get to make so many friends
Yep.
during my time on the show. So,
Yep. Now, speaking of albums,
yes,
things to look forward to in 2024.
coming. I have a record. It's ostensibly done. Should have artwork back in the next couple of weeks, and then we're going to be looking to make an announcement as soon as everything is finalized. So,
All right.
I want to make sure that we have the radio and the gigs and the Spotify playlist and all that kind of stuff lined up perfectly, so that we can really launch this thing right. But the songs are done, the mixes are done, and I'm really excited to get to share with you and with everybody
Yeah.
what we've been working on for the last year and a half.
Yeah. Well, I know a show that you could be a guest on that could help promote this when it happens. So if you
Outstanding.
just let me know, and I'll hook you up.
100%. 100%. I'd look forward to it.
Oh, but in the meantime, tell everybody where they can find you on social, and make sure they're
Yep.
following you.
I'm on Instagram at drew.crawley63. That's probably the easiest way to follow up. And then drewcrawleymusic.com is links to socials and streaming platforms and things like that. I do need to update that a little bit. There's a couple of things that have fallen behind there, but that's a great way to kind of find a landing page to link to everything else.
Good deal. And again, hit us up on YouTube. You can listen to us on your favorite podcast platform. You can follow us on our YouTube or our Facebook page or our Facebook group. Upcoming, we've got the band Ten Zelkova. They're a local band, got an album out. They've released a few more singles. These guys are great. Look forward to talking to them. They've been a lot of fun to get to know as we've been able to see them live. Then after that, we've got a pair of shows. Look at these. There's going to be too much. Drew, it's a good thing you're not going to be on these shows, because it would be too much sexiness for the internet.
That's a lot of hat game in one show.
It really is.
A lot of facial hair, a lot of hat game.
Hat and facial hair. Not enough buttons. Not enough buttons. But we're going to do two. I'm going to do two shows. I'm going to have one show with Jason and Jason Bronner, Buzzard Roost, and John Wadle of Peerless. And we're going to do one show where we talk about Buzzard Roost. Then we're going to do another show where we talk about Peerless. And music conversation will be really good with these guys too, because they both know their stuff. Then after that, I've got a show with Leilani Kilgore and Jeremiah Johnson. They're actually playing a gig together February 17th in St. Louis. They're the opening acts for the Cold Stairs in St. Louis. But these are some fantastic blues, pop, blues, rock musicians. So you'll want to check that out too. So we got some good shows lined up. Drew, it won't be the same without you, but we will press on nonetheless.
Absolutely. I'm looking forward to getting to listen to those.
Yeah. Well, thanks everybody for tuning in, for staying with us, for hearing us out. Spread the news if you don't mind. We would appreciate it. And until next time, cheers, love, and free bird.
Cheers.
Good night, folks.
Good night.